Unitarian Universalism lacks many of the things that bind other religious communities together. Other faith traditions are held together by a shared scripture or shared creed. What we do have, though, is shared values and shared history. For a religious movement that is so dependent on its history to give it a sense of identity, Unitarian Universalists are woefully ignorant of that history. That's why a project like the Prairie Star District's Heritage Media Project is so important. It's about people coming together to share the dramatic, exciting, inspiring stories from our religious tradition. I think of Risto and Milma Lapala, Finnish immigrants to America who originally trained for the Congregationalist ministry in New England and then became a part of the Unitarian ministry, coming out to Minnesota to organize congregations in the Iron Range and across the plains as far west as Red Lodge, Montana. I think of Helen Grace Putnam, a pioneer missionary in North Dakota. When the denomination sought young men to go to North Dakota, which had just become a state in 1889, they issued a call for the young men to come forth and go off to do missionary work. But no young men came. But Helen Grace Putnam said, "I'll go." And in the end, she did go. She opened her first congregation in a saloon in Jamestown, North Dakota, where she played piano during the weeknights while people gathered to drink and smoke, and in return received the permission to use the saloon on Sunday mornings to hold worship services. I think of William Channing Gannett, who served many years as the minister of Unity Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. He was the son of Ezra Stiles Gannett, who was William Ellery Channing's successor at the Federal Street Church in Boston. William Channing Gannett, however, was something of a revolutionary compared to his father, and when he came west, he was one of the significant contributors to a movement that became known as the Unity Men, although there were Unity women too. They sought to define our religious basis as being related to ethics and fellowship rather than theology. So for Gannett, it was no longer important that a person consider themselves to be a Christian or even a theist. What was important to Gannett was that individuals understood that fellowship among people was an active manifestation of love in the world. One of the most popular pastimes for Americans is genealogy. Over and over again, I hear the same refrain. I wish I had asked Mom and Dad before they died. I wish I had thought to pay attention when my grandparents were talking. I wish I had listened to my great-grandparents or to aunts and uncles or older cousins who shared all of the family stories in such a rich and exciting way. I wasn't paying attention. Well, the same is true for the history of a religious movement. It is incumbent upon every generation to remember as clearly and accurately, as vividly as possible, the stories that have been told to them by the old-timers and long-timers that they most admired. It is important to record those stories for posterity, because they tell us what our identity is. They tell us what meaning those who have followed our way in religion before us have found in liberal religious communities, and more importantly, they point us towards the future. We can't wait until those who know our rich stories are gone from among us. We can't wait before we start recording those stories. It's important for us to begin the task now, to tell the tales we know and the tales that we remember from others, so that we can hand off to future generations, and as importantly, hand off to our neighbors and friends today the vivid, varied, and rich tales of our liberal religious heritage.